Thanks for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet. This review covers the re-release of the 1979 Ford Pinto Pony Express. It's a 125 scale MPC kit, number 845. This is a skill level 2 kit for intermediate builders and requires glue and paint. A few versions were released back in the 70s, and now Round 2 has reissued the MPC version with its original box art. The build-up is straightforward and assembly is nice with a good fit and finish. There's 138 pieces in this kit, molded in silver, chrome, clear red, and soft black tires with water slide decals and well laid out instructions. As a bonus, this kit comes with 2 complete engine assemblies, both an inline 1.2 liter 4 and a 351 cubic inch V8. A mini model box is also part of the package. It's modestly detailed, and it's a nice build of a great subject matter kit. Overall, the dimensions when finished are 7 1/4 inches long, 3 1/8 inches wide, and 3 1/2 inches high, not including the antenna or the foils. Here's my version of the in-box review. You can see all the parts that came out of the box. Instead of holding each one up and talking about it, that won't help you get the model built. So here's the open box review you need in 15 seconds or less. Here are the decals for this kit. As you can see, they're very colorful and the registry is good. I strongly recommend using some decal setting solution to make it fit those contours. But as always, use the manufacturer's safety and use guidelines when using any of the products mentioned here in the review for your own protection. For most of the construction, I use Model Master liquid cement and sometimes a slow setting tube glue, but other adhesives are used too for strength like super glue and white glue for clear parts. Mostly the paints are Tamiya acrylic bottle paints that are shot through an airbrush, or rattle can paints that can be used for things like primers. Get these parts out as construction starts with the wheels on this kit. Paint the retainers Model Master gloss black, or whatever gloss black you have on hand. And this is done for all 4 tires. The rim backs are installed into the tires. The axle retainers are installed into the front on the rim backs, and the rim fronts are installed into the tires, locking the axle retainers in place. Now be careful when gluing the rim halves together to prevent glue from getting into the axle retainers if you want the kit to roll on its wheels. As this kit has engine options, we're going to start with the 4-cylinder engine assembly. So grab these parts, then attach the left engine half to the right, and the oil pan is attached to the engine assembly block. Now the engine assembly is painted Ford or GM engine blue, and then the valve covers are attached to the engine assembly. Then the covers breathers are attached to those. Now the distributor, exhaust manifold are painted gloss black before they're attached to the left side of the engine, and the oil filter is gloss white and then attached to the left side of the engine aside the distributor. This is the valve cover breather. It's a small part and can be easily overlooked on the parts tree. You should also take care when removing it from the sprue. I'd put a piece of tape on it and then before I snap it off or cut it off from the sprue. Grab these parts out of the kit and attach the carburetor to the exhaust manifold. The air cleaner is gloss black and it's attached to the carburetor. The air cleaner support bracket is attached to the air cleaner and the right side of the engine. The timing belt cover is attached to the front of the engine assembly, and the belt assembly is painted flat black, the belt, and gloss black are the pulleys. The alternator and fan are attached to the belt assembly, and the belt assembly is then attached to the front of the engine. Starter is painted gloss black before it's attached to the right side of the engine. Moving on to the V8, grab these parts out of the kit and paint the intake manifold Ford or GM engine blue, and the carburetor is then attached to the intake manifold and the carburetor top is attached to that. The distributor is painted gloss black and then attached to the intake manifold. Using these parts, the left and right engine halves are put together to form the block, and then the cylinder heads and the oil pan are attached to the block. The engine assembly is then painted Ford or GM engine blue, and the left and right valve covers are attached to the left and right heads. Then the left and right valve cover breathers are attached to the valve covers. Now the oil filter is gloss white, and attach that to the left side of the engine. The exhaust manifolds are now painted steel and installed onto the engine's heads. Then the intake manifold assembly is attached to the engine top. Paint the belts on the belt assembly flat black and the pulleys a gloss black. And then the front engine cover is painted Ford GM blue and attached to the front of the engine. The belt assembly is then attached to the front engine cover. The alternator and the fan are attached to the belt assembly, and then the starter is painted gloss black and it's installed to the right side of the engine. Get these parts out to start the chassis assembly, and then the chassis, the front engine support, left and right front axle posts are painted semi-gloss black. The left and right front axle posts are attached to the chassis, and the front engine support is then installed to the chassis, locking both front axle posts in place. Because of the sporty look of the kit, I decided to use the 351 V8 engine. So the V8 engine is now installed to the chassis assembly. Also, the AMT kept the original display stand for this kit and included it, so I painted it gloss black, and the 4-cylinder engine is sitting on that stand here. Now get these parts out and paint the fuel tank semi-gloss black and attach it to the chassis assembly. Then the left and right exhaust pipes are painted steel before they're glued to the exhaust manifolds and the chassis assembly points. The transmission cross member is painted gloss black and secured to the chassis assembly. Now next, the drive shaft is gloss black and it's installed into the transmission. The differential bottom half and the top half are assembled and painted gloss black and attached to both the drive shaft and the chassis assembly. Attach the rear seat front to the back, and then the left interior side and the right interior side, the rear seat assembly and the interior portion of the chassis assembly are painted medium gray. The battery is gloss black, and the inner fenders on both interior sides are painted semi-gloss black, and the door handles with the window cranks are trimmed out in some chrome silver. Now both interior sides rear seat assembly are now installed into the chassis assembly, and the battery is attached to the right interior front fender. With two sets of seat for this build, I chose the ones that match the rear seat. The front seat backs then are attached to the front seat fronts, and the console, parking brake, dashboard, and both front seats and the steering wheel are painted a medium gray. Now the dashboard is detailed in semi-gloss black and silver. The CB radio and the firewall are painted semi-gloss black, and the console and the steering wheel are detailed in Testors silver. Now install the parking brake, both front seats, the shifter, that's part number 114, the console and the firewall to the chassis assembly. The floor mat on the chassis assembly is detailed with some flat black, and the pedals on the chassis assembly are painted semi-gloss black. The steering wheel is attached to the dashboard, and then the dashboard is installed into the chassis assembly. You may notice some flash on the body, but it's easier to remove with a sharp hobby knife. Just trim it off. If you want to use that bubble top for the roof vent, there is a section of the roof that needs to be removed with a fine hobby blade. Just to follow the scoring marks on the interior of the body and it'll cut out pretty easily. Then sand it smooth. I wanted to use the body inserts too, so I had to remove one of the back window divider B posts before those can be installed. Once those items are in place, go over the body and look for any defects and any flash that still need to be removed, and give it a good inside-outside coat, all the body parts, with a good quality primer. After that's dried, go over it again, looking for any issues that may need to be addressed, and once it's finally cured, you can give it your body color spray. I used some Krylon metallic aluminum. Now the roof vent window and both side port windows in the windshield will be installed into the body after that with some clear cement or white glue. Then the grille is painted semi-gloss black and detailed with Testors silver. The body detailed with semi-gloss black as well, and the front bumper is also painted with some semi-gloss black. The headlight and the front grille are attached to the body assembly, and then the side decals are applied to the body. I'd use plenty of warm water here to put them into position, and I strongly suggest you use some of the setting solutions available in the aftermarket to make sure they stick and conform to all the contours. Now in this case I went with the horses instead of the stripes, since I thought they looked like a better detail on this particular build. And the front side turn signals were then painted Model Masters turn signal amber metallic, and the rear side turn signals were painted with clear red acrylic. Now get these parts out and paint the spoiler supports in the rear bumper spacer body color, and then the rear window slats are painted semi-gloss black. The rear bumper is also detailed with some semi-gloss black, and the rear bumper spacer is attached to the rear bumper. Then the rear bumper assembly is attached to the body. The rear tail lights are installed into the body assembly with some clear part cement or white glue, and the two spoiler supports are attached to the spoiler. Now the spoiler assembly can be attached to the body. The rear window slats are then installed onto the rear window with some clear parts cement or white glue. You may also find some light flash on the bumper filler and the front air dam, and you can just remove that with a sharp hobby knife. Now the interior tailgate is painted body color and then attached to the chassis, and the radiator cowl is semi-gloss black and Model Master flat black for the radiator itself before being attached to the chassis assembly. Tire assemblies are installed onto the chassis assemblies, followed by the body assembly, and just shoehorn that in. It should stay by itself. The front bumper filler and the front air dam then have been painted metallic aluminum as well, and the front bumper filler is attached to the body beneath the front bumper, and then the front air dam is attached to the front bumper filler. The hood is also body color, and the radiator hose for the V8 is flat black. The luggage rack and both of the door mirrors are painted gloss black, and the door mirrors are detailed with some silver for the mirror, and the hood decal is then applied to the hood, and it overlaps onto the body by the windshield wipers. So after the decal is set, a sharp hobby knife will carefully cut the decal so the hood can be operational, and this is where that setting solution comes in to make sure that the ends of that thing conform to the body's contours. Attach the radiator hose to the radiator and intake manifold, and then the luggage rack, antenna, and both the door mirrors can be attached to the body assembly. The hood is placed into position but not glued into place, as you can remove it to show the engine. Depending on the options that you choose, there'll be some extra parts. In fact, there's about a dozen that aren't even shown in the instructions. There were a couple of road lights that go above the seats or on and I didn't use them because it didn't look like a racing car to me, so that's more of a Baja. I also didn't use the stripe around the back door because it kind of obscured the Pinto script, but there you have it. I really enjoyed building this kit, and from research, the actual car was photos were available to help with that. I'm happy it's been brought back so that some of these kits can be built again. And during the build, I found some light flash, but no unfill or warps or anything that detracted from the build. Everything went together pretty well. The instructions are well laid out now, and both the engines were nicely detailed in this kit, and I would build it again just for the different versions, like the plain station wagon and stock builds. So if you want to have some fun with a blast from our pony car heritage, so to speak, buy one of these kits and put it on your shelf and throw that extra engine into your parts bin. We hope you liked this premium quality step-by-step review, and so that you don't miss any more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. But you can find us on Facebook and also at our website, www.rightonreplicas.com. Thanks!